Hey guys, I'm Tiffany, and you're here for Astrology for Spiritual Development Students. And one of the things we like to look at in astrology is the astrological new year, which is today when the sun moves into Aries. And so anytime a planet moves into a sign, we call that an ingress. So as the sun ingresses into Aries, we have a new birth chart that is essentially good for the whole year. So why do we look at this birth chart for the whole year is it gives us some insight and some ideas as to what the maker, our creator, had in mind for the year ahead. And so when we're looking at the stars and the skies and we're getting some insight as to the elements of what's ahead, it's important just to remember that we have one God, that we have one creator, that we are not God, and that we can use the signs from nature, from the elements, from looking at the meanings of the stars and planets as just a roadmap for the year ahead. So we were given free will as well. And so that means that we can really have a lot of choice and agency in how we handle the changing seasons that are being presented to us. And so I just want to remind us of that before we get started. Okay, so what you're looking at is the Aries Ingress chart for the United States. You can see Aquarius rising. And why is that important? When we're looking at an ingress chart, um, the sign is important because we want to know what mode it's in because that's going to tell us how long this particular chart is good for, right? So if it were a cardinal rising sign, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, it would just be good for 3 months and we would redo this sort of predictive work in a 3 month cycle. If it were an immutable sign, Gemini, Virgo, Sag, Pisces, we would redo this chart in 6 months, right? And give us a second look halfway through. And because it's a fixed rising sign, so the fixed signs are Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, then makes it good, the chart good for the whole year. So it's an Aquarius is rising in the ingress chart. This makes the chart good for the whole year. And it makes Aquarius the chart ruler. So in modern astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, right? And in traditional astrology, it is ruled by Saturn. So we look at it as having a co-rulership. People get to pick which one they like to work with, right? So one might resonate more than the other. They're very different. They're very different energies, right? Uranus is electricity and rebellion and excitement and shockwaves and revolution. And it's associated also with innovation and change and genius, brilliant Einstein work. Whereas Saturn is more about order and discipline and foundation and bones and teeth and chiropractic and structure, right? Getting the foundation right. So they're very different energies. Aquarius, right, is typically more cold, more detached. It rules the people, the network, the group, and there's like some ice factor to it, right? That's not ideal with Pluto, the wrecking ball in Aquarius. That could be a very like icy destruction, a very detached transformation and turnover. So what's going on in this chart in particular, you can see that Uranus is trine. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. But here Uranus in Taurus is trine the South Node in Virgo. Okay, so there's a lot to be said just about the South Node in Virgo in general. The disruption of supply chain, food chain, the disruption, the ending of things, Virgo, the letting go, the release of perfectionism tendencies. We almost have to do that with all of this Neptunian energy affecting all of these planets down here, conjunct the North Node, conjunct Saturn. Like Neptune is just going to be dissolving things. And so having to let go of perfectionism and analysis paralysis and all of that is part of the year for sure. But as the wheel changes, we've got Uranus trine the South Node. And so Uranus is about surprise and the South Node is about endings. So we might see some surprise endings, things suddenly dropping off where we didn't think they were going to, some big changes that have more to do with letting go of what? You know, the ego, the things that we want to hang on to, the desires of our heart, like letting go of um, the challenging sides of ourselves and our psyche and our nature. Uranus is also, let's see, sextile Saturn. And I like that because, right, Uranus and Saturn work together to co-rule Aquarius. You can see Uranus here in 24 Taurus, sextile Saturn here in 23 Pisces. And to me, that's about blending the old Saturn structure, how it always has been, with the new Uranus innovation, bringing something together, opening doors between generations. Um, to me, that's it's like a really positive side of this Aries Ingress chart, where we're going to be able to work with, you know, two, I guess, very different ways of looking at things. One very innovative, transformative, different, and the other very stable, traditional, conservative, um, safe, right? So that's a look at Uranus. If we switch gears and look also at Saturn too, right? Being a co-ruler of Aquarius, the rising sign here. Saturn's conjunct the Sun. It's trine Mars. So here's Saturn, North Node, Neptune, Sun. All of these things right here are forming a trine to Mars. And so Mars energizes. Mars is the military. Mars is in Cancer, which has to do with the home. This could be about defending the home, of course. It could be the thing that you see in Google is passive aggressive, right? Yes, because Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. It's masculine, Cancer is feminine, Mars is fire, energy, direction, momentum, and Cancer is water, go with the flow, emotions, intuition. And so there can be some mixed messages there. But in this trine, Saturn, the malefics, Saturn and Mars trine each other. To me, that's also another good sign of this chart, is that the work that you're putting in now will yield potentially very unexpected results later on. So putting in the effort, right? Not giving up, even though you're feeling foggy, even though you're feeling slowed down, even though things are changing and we're in uncharted territory. Go ahead and put one foot in front of the other, right? Faith with action. So the action part is stepping out and not knowing if the ground is going to be there or not, and just saying, God, I trust you that it's going to be there. I'm going to step forward anyways, right? So there's workflow, there's gains, there's momentum. Mars rules the Mars and Saturn together. I think about military momentum in some ways, gaining ground. With Saturn conjunct the Sun down there, I think about an emphasis on health and vitality, especially having to do with bones, teeth. Like I have been back in chiropractic care. I have a family member that is in regular dental care right now. These type of things are just naturally popping up. I used to work for a chiropractor years and years and years ago, and I loved it, but I didn't maintain regular chiropractic work throughout my life. I just have just gone back in when needed, right? And now is the time when it's needed. So it's interesting to see how some of those things match up. Saturn, we're talking about Saturn, which rules bones in chiropractic. So, and conjunct the Sun, which rules our health and our vitality. With Mars, like muscling, getting something in there, getting an adjustment done, right? So there's my plug for chiropractic, because it's also going to open the pathways for your nervous system. So Mercury rules the nervous system, our fight-flight response, how we make decisions and things like this. And so if any of the spinal cord is kinked in any little capacity, it's shutting off communication from the brain to the rest of the body. And so, yeah, it's good to be in chiropractic care. So find somebody that you trust, right, that is going to work well with your body, and put that emphasis on health and vitality, especially with the South Node in Virgo. To me, it's like a part of our health is draining, or we're more detox, elimination, letting go of things. Okay, so I also want to look at the moon in this chart, because it represents the people and the public view, the public opinion, how the people feel. Now, we can't represent every single body, but right, it's in Sagittarius, which is all about the adventure. It's also the pulpit and the preacher and the guru and the worldly person that is cultural and interested in the arts, and is maybe the silliest person that you've ever met, but then comes out with something very prophetic and philosophical and interesting. And this moon, the people, the vibe of the people this year being on this adventure of life, is opposite Jupiter down here. And Jupiter's in Gemini, right? So there can be a tendency to go over the board, over the top. There can be a tendency for indulgences. There can be a tendency for unrealistic expectations, or a mixed message, dual messages. People might be questioning their faith. Sagittarius, the moon's in Sag, it, right, rules Jupiter down here. And so for me, like, this is also about this overextension of oneself, questioning the faith, questioning why we're here, answering the big questions of life. Gemini is that the twins, right? And so we're able to see things from multiple perspectives, and we start questioning things, and it's that pendulum swing bar ditch to bar ditch, where the message is really moderation in all things and not to get so far over here, right, that we get caught up in something or we put somebody on a pedestal and realize that they're just human. So when we have the people, right, the moon has those big mood swings and that need to express what's going on and convey things, right? We think about Jupiter and Gemini. This is about media distribution, spreading information through the internet. The mood changes wildly and moderation is needed. Moon in Sagittarius. This is freedom of speech, right? This freedom of speech versus controlling the narrative and the dynamics that people see from different angles there. The moon also has a connection to agriculture. So moon opposite Jupiter. Jupiter is far away. Gemini, Jupiter's in Gemini. Gemini's close, neighbors nearby. So foreign versus far and away agriculture, what's local, what's nearby versus what we need from somebody else. Now, this is kind of interesting because also I'm going to show you, actually, maybe I'll just do that now. Let me switch charts because this far and away and agriculture thing is kind of interesting when it comes to the chart of the United States. Let's see. There you go. So now you have a bi-wheel. So the United States chart is on the inside and the Aries Ingress chart is on the outside. And so we're talking about the moon, but if you look at the moon of the United States, it's down here in Aquarius in the third house. So interesting, right? Repetition. We're seeing Aquarius again. We're seeing third house, Gemini themes again. This is the mood of the people, what they will say, what they will want to share. But the moon of excuse me, in the chart of the United States, the moon rules the eighth house here, Cancer on the eighth house cusp. And so there has to do also with this connection really to the voice, right? Third house of the people with the eighth house, other people's support, the other countries' support. This idea that tariffs are being discussed, the benefits, the challenges, the pros, the cons, the public assistance. The eighth house again is ruled by the United States moon, and here we've got other people's collaboration. It's like kind of getting in bed together or having a joint venture together. Or eighth house rules sex, death, and taxes. It also rules this like the deepest human bonds, this like pact that we make that we're going forward together for better or worse, right? There's a Scorpio tone to the eighth house too. So when I'm talking about agriculture and this far and away thing, I'm feeling like also that has to do with the tariffs and what we will be sharing, what we will be bringing in, what we will be giving, what we will be letting go of, all of these things, right? And so I think fasting is great regardless. I think it's a good spiritual practice. I don't think you should do it to self-sabotage or self-suffer. But when you start a practice of fasting, right, you're not as concerned about the food as a form of pleasure, and it's more as a form of survival in a way. And so there can be some of that, like those fasting practices that are so good for your health. Have you guys seen the fasting documentary on Netflix, or was it on Netflix? I think it's on Amazon, but it's really good, and it makes you want to fast, right? It makes you be like, I want those health benefits. So I'm hoping that I'm tying some of these threads together for you here. The moon has a connection to not just agriculture and our food supply, but also our homes, owning and renting versus going on an adventure with this moon and Sag over here. And so I do think that the Airbnb type business models are going to continue to do well. I think we're going to continue to see people that want to expand their territory or enlarge their territory. Although Jupiter is in Gemini now, it will be moving into Cancer. Yeah, and so I think that transiting Jupiter here is opposite. We're talking about being opposite the moon, and it's in the United States seventh house of open enemies, and it's in the sign of duality. So it's going to be interesting to see what friends the United States makes versus which enemies it makes. And it could be that the enemies are with its own people, right? There could be this Trojan horse effect where the enemy is from within at some level. And it represents, the 12th house has to do with our redemption and our spirituality, and the spiritual wars that we battle inside of ourselves are reflected out there in the world. So it's always funny to me to hear like astrologers talk about what they're seeing in the world, because what they're seeing is just a reflective of their own nature, right? Their own heart, their own cosmic makeup. And so I think astrologers, people that are in the business of informing people of the weather, have a great responsibility, right, to continue their own path of self-development, because they are informing based on our own experiences, right, which is all any of us have anyways. It's our own experience, strength, and hope. But just be careful, right? The moon at opposite Jupiter here. Be careful what media channels you're listening to, what you're allowing into your body, and what is informing you this year. Okay. All right, something else I wanted to talk about. Let's see, did I cover them all? I have some notes over to the side. The sun. Okay. Yeah, the sun, Mars, excuse me, Venus and Mercury are retrograde in the early stages of Aries, right where the sun is, also conjunct, or very closely conjunct, and not the wide orb here with the sun, Neptune, North Node, and Saturn in Pisces. And so to me, there can be like this, the Neptune is dissolving, it's blending, it's blurring, it's slurring, it slows things down. And with those retrogrades too, it's like there's a huge slowing down of energy as opposed to this burst of momentum. So what else can be slowed down here is metabolism, thought processes, the life is but a dream, right? Neptune to me represents the undocumented as well. Those maybe without country or without culture or without home or family or things like this. Right. And so the North Node here is this anchor for what we're reaching for, and that has to do with our spirituality. There's a lot here that shows a reaching towards faith. There's a lot of people who are going back to the church, myself included. That there are a lot of people who are reaching for different types of way to connect with faith and religion, that are overcoming either church hurt or spiritual abuse, or just waking up from like just the I don't know, the lies, the dreams, the unfortunate false prophets that have been out there, right? And so there's just a lot going on with this ingress chart. And I hope that I have pulled out a couple of interesting pieces for you. So to recap briefly, we're in a fixed rising sign. That means this energy is good for the whole year. The chart ruler here is Aquarius, co-ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Uranus is sextile Saturn too, so that's kind of a cool thing where we've got some momentum, some change, especially with work, blending old stuff with new stuff. We've got some surprise endings intact here. We've got some forward momentum with the malefics, Saturn trine Mars. Putting in the effort now gives us some unexpected results, so just keep going, right? The moon, we talked about being opposite Jupiter in an interesting placement, at least in the United States chart, and being what is being spread through the internet, false prophets, a reconnection to your own form of spirituality, your higher power, our creator. Yeah, and the moon having the connection to home and agriculture, this idea of what's close and local versus what do we get overseas, and where do we need each other, where do we work together, and where do we part ways unexpectedly, right? Pluto rules resources, mortgages, bankruptcy, debts, and things like this. And so with the sun, Venus, Mercury retrograde, and Neptune, everything kind of slowing down, sextiling Pluto and the part of fortune, we will see themes around home ownership for sure. Big, it's like easy come, easy go, big changes, for better or worse. And yeah, I would say be careful, moderation in all things, and returning to your intuition, to your faith, connection to your God. These are the things that I see in this chart from my lens. I know I have many talented colleagues and friends that see different things. And that's the gift of I guess being able to have I don't know, different relationships with the night skies, is to be able to share different perspectives. So I hope this has been useful to you. Yeah, I just woke up this morning thinking I really wanted to do this video. And I didn't prepare much for it. I didn't watch other people's predictions. I'm just sharing what I see from an inspired place. So, guys, thanks for being here. And, if you're new here, welcome. If you're old here, welcome back. I'm Tiffany. I offer a digital astrology calendar. I offer a membership where we meet twice monthly to train on astrology concepts, looking at your chart personally, as well as just do some energy clearing, some recentering spiritual work around what is going on in the skies and how it's affecting us personally in different ways. I'm a beekeeper. I live in Texas and I offer an Adopt a Hive program. So if you're interested in supporting the bees, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I have a master's in health psychology. I like helping people ask themselves the right questions. And so hopefully this has inspired some questions for you to ask as we embrace this astrological new year. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. All my love and namaste.